And that's why you must develop or have a good sense of
Go
humor.
with the flow. You got to go with the flow because
Oh,
you have to. I mean,
it's
you can't control the river. The river's going to run. Just
right.
enjoy the waves.
Right. I mean,
It's
you've always
true.
had a great sense of humor. You've always
I've
been
always had my mother. It's from my mother's side, and I was going to be a sitcom writer because I'm funny.
you're
And
hysterical.
and I thought about making a, and I actually have a broadcasting degree, and I was working at the show Grease on Broadway, which is right now celebrating the 50th anniversary. Actually, tonight it's Sardi's, which I would be at if I wasn't
You and I have been
here.
to Sardi's.
And you and I have been to Sardi's. That's right.
Yes.
And yeah, so they're celebrating that, and I quit Broadway to get my degree in broadcasting. So I moved in to San Francisco State, got a broadcasting degree, moved to LA to be a sitcom writer, and the rest is all history. I met an agent who brought me to a medium, and the rest is all history, as they say. But I'm still
So
funny.
it's
So I find
hysterical.
humor
Yeah.
humor gets me out of most things. But when there are certain things that hurt children, that gets me.
Yeah,
I
of
can't laugh at
course.
that,
Yeah.
and that really hurts me. And
Right.
animals, and
Oh,
animals.
yeah, of course.
And
Yeah.
that just yeah, how humans treat one another sometimes is you can't laugh at that because it's just yeah, you just cry. You cry more than
Right.
laugh for that. But
Right.
I
That's
laugh
so
a lot.
true.
But it's funny in the work that I do. People think it's very serious, and I try to make it as light as possible because there is no when you realize there's no death, there's only light. There's only happiness. There's no
Yeah.
death. There's no limitation. We're with our loved ones are more with us now when they're out of the body than in the body. So when
Right.
people realize that, they're much happier, and it's a happy thing that I think death is a
Well,
good thing to me.
and as a medium, as a practicing medium, every day when I work with people, I always want to put some light and humor into something because the soul on the other side and the soul here opens up and everybody opens up and it just is an easier way for me to get into this with work with the soul.
And our natural vibration is love, Kelly. And the
Yeah.
fastest way to get to love is laughter and joy, elements to love. And you raise
Yeah.
the frequency of vibration when you laugh. You raise that energy up to that point. I always have dancing in my workshops
Yeah.
and even
Always. Yeah.
always because and people love it. At first, people like think, oh, and like the guys or some gals are hanging out in the side of the room, and I grab them. Come on inside here, let's go, because everybody wants love. Everybody wants
Right.
joy, and
Right.
just like, get out of yourself and let's enjoy everybody as
Right.
one.
I was telling you earlier, I had a couple of people that have said to me, I can't see you. I can't see you because you have too much energy. You're too happy. I can't see you. And I always go, oh, because I in therapy, you're actually supposed to meet them where they are. But I have trouble with that. I mean, listen, obviously, when it's serious, I'm very serious. But sometimes when you work with somebody who's so damn negative that you literally almost you can't you want to start laughing because it's so insane when somebody is so negative.
Yeah.
I
I
mean, it's
can't be
like,
around that anymore. I refuse
oh,
to be around that anymore. I refuse to be around that. I refuse to be around people that are not genuine.
right.
I refuse to. I was thinking about it some people that were friends, and because I don't put up with that anymore. I just don't. Life is too
Right.
short.
Life's too
You know.
short. Life's
Yeah.
too short. But I thought this was so funny. Renee, can you put up this picture we have? And this is from Renee Hounsel. And Renee, we love you for sending this. We just thought this was
Thanks, Renee.
so
That's great,
funny.
Renee.
I she sent this today. She said, just believe it. Water and oil cannot be mixed. Which I love that because that's so accurate. If I view that in terms of people, I just think that's sometimes water and oil just can't mix.
People try so hard, don't they, to make it
Tries
mix, and it just
so
doesn't.
hard.
It,
And that
it,
cracks me up.
yeah. Well,
That's funny.
the one thing with readings that crack me up too, it's like you'll say, "Well, here are the directions." If I say that Aunt Sadie, 67, died of a heart attack,
Right.
please don't stand up if it's your Uncle Sam who is still alive. I mean, that's two very different things. And
That is
humans
so
crack me
true.
up. Humans do crack me up.
Oh my god.
Oh, Aunt Boynton.
Ann Buffington, what's the difference between crocodiles and alligators? One will see you after a while the other will see you later. Very funny.
That's pretty good, Anne. Very
I
good.
like that, Ann. That's
You
very
love
good.
you
Oh my
love
gosh.
that.
I love this. I have a quote from a Zen master, James, and he says, nothing is left to you at this moment but to have a good laugh.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
But I mean,
Great.
the Dalai Lama laughs.
Yeah, the dilemma. I was just invited to it's funny, I was just invited to be around him at an audience with to have an audience with him, and I have to turn it down because I have doggies that I might
So
carry
you're
down the holiness. Well, I have doggies. I got to do so.
oh
But
my god.
I have a friend of mine who we hang out a lot with, and part of the reason we hang out is because we both like to have fun, and we dress in weird costumes, and we have fun giggle time, and it's just a lot of fun, and like to be not taking things so seriously because we're all going to get out of this stuff. We really are. We shouldn't take this all so seriously. We
Right,
really shouldn't. We're going to get out of this stuff. This is all just illusion. So don't
right,
take it all so seriously. What we really take seriously is love, loving one another. How you care for each other, the thoughts that you send out, the energy
right,
you give, how you design your life and that of others. How do you make the world a better place? That's
right.
really what we want to do.
Everything. Valerie Smothers says here, she says, if you can't find humor in everyday life, then it will be a long, boring life.
So
That
true,
is the
Valerie.
truth,
So
Valerie.
true. I mean,
Oh
gosh,
my God.
you gotta find something to laugh at everything, and not laugh at people, but laugh with people. It's a really big
Right.
difference.
Oh, that's so true. And so I want there's a book, an interesting book called Ha, and it's
Mm,
by cognitive neuroscientist Scott Weems. And he says this about humor. He said, my first thought when I think about humor, and remember, he's a cognitive neuroscientist. So, my first thought when I think about humor is it's a great way for us to have evolved so we don't have to hit each other with sticks.
it's great. It's
Okay,
great.
he hasn't met my siblings. You know,
That's
put
great.
down that stick. You
That's
can't
great.
hit each other. Oh my God. And here's the other thing he says, which is so true. He says human beings aren't meant to be scared and serious all the time.
Not at all. Not at all. And when someone confronts you that way, and they're just like, ah,
Right.
and now I do it all the time. When someone ever confronts me, and that's I haven't been out of the house a lot, but I'm starting to get out now. Um, I was driving to my Pilates class once, and this street down the street is a country street, I guess, and this couple walking, and I was going not going fast. I was going about 30 miles an hour down the road, and this man for no reason goes like slow down, and I went, and he was really angry. And I always think you have to turn that energy around to positivity. So as I went close to it, hi.
What they do.
They don't know what to do. And then if you're on road rage with people, and they get well, I've had people the finger with me, the finger.
Oh yeah.
I go, I go.
I've had people do that to me, James, and I don't realize it's happening. And I'll have people in my car go, they just flipped you off, and they did, and that makes me laugh.
Well, I'll just wave at them. Hi, hello.
Oops. Oh well. Oh my gosh.
No
So
kisses.
comedy and laughter can be healing. So we know it can be healing, and it's why it's healing is because it stimulates the brain to
Endorphins.
release endorphins, and endorphins make us feel really good.
It's true. So,
Renee Hounsell says, I was crying laughing with my reading from Kellee. Oh, when I realized my husband that came through heard me say 3 days before he would come through in a grass skirt and coconut shells. It made my year. Well, what happened is I was doing a reading for her and I said, he's talking about Hawaii, but he's talking about I don't know, what does this mean? A grass skirt.
that's great. That's great.
That's something, right?
That's
Oh
great.
my gosh, I love this. Chris Sagalow says Norman Cousins, who I loved, he wrote a book, The Anatomy of an Illness, and he cured himself from a life-threatening disease by laughing. It reduces inflammation and ignites the healing system. He sure did, and he actually helped my mother when she had cancer the first time because we laughed all the time, and we even laughed through the cancer because it was just there was nothing else. We were in a position we had to laugh, frankly. And Norman Cousins really helped a lot of people with that, James, with that book.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, and I remember that there were Laurel and Hardy movies that I heard this years ago that people were in the hospital. They used to play comedies like silent movies and Laurel and Hardy and Keystone Cops to make them feel better, to bring out the healing aspects. And that's what it does. It brings in a healing aspect. Think about it. It brings a vibration up to love. Love's our natural environment and a vibration.
Right,
So that makes total sense. And he used to
right.
see clowns in the hospitals a lot. I remember I was like 9 years old, and I was in a hospital. They used to have clowns come into the hospital and with the kids' wards. Kids get tonsils out. And I remember that. And that, I don't know if they still do that, have clowns going around, but that's work. That's laughter and joy.
Probably not. If it were me, no, no clown.
There was Dr. Patches. Remember Dr. Patches that Robin
No,
Leader
I
is
don't
out?
remember Dr. Patches. I remember Bozo, but I don't remember Dr.
Bozo
Patches.
the Clown. Yes, I used to watch that. Yes, Bozo. Yes, all the
Oh my
time.
god, so
Laughing is much better than crying, isn't it?
oh, I have to, I'm gonna tell you a really bizarre story, but I'll share this with you, James. But
Okay, Kelly.
during when my mother was dying, I mean, listen, it was extremely serious. My mother is
I
dying.
remember.
You
Sure.
remember? I mean, it's
Yeah, of
the last
course.
moments, and it's really awful and everything you can imagine. And see, I'm actually laughing now because it was so insane. We had a worker that came, a hospice worker that came. We didn't know this woman, and she was there at the last, 3 hours, the last 2 hours, and she came in, and she all we wanted her to do was just make my mom comfortable,
Mm.
okay? And instead, she looks up, and we're all, around my mom, and my mother is dying. And she looks up and she says, I am a singer and a dancer and an artist and a model, and I'm going to sing for you. And we were like, what did she just say? And then she blasts out some oddball song. And my sister looks at me and she went for her throat. It was terrible. It was one of those most bizarre things ever. And needless to say, the woman left and my mom died. And it was the weirdest moment, but I makes me laugh. And I have to think that the universe had to have something to do with this because
It's
it cracked me up on so many dark levels. I mean, that's dark sense of humor
and
there.
they want us to laugh. They do want us to
Yeah.
laugh. Even the spirit when they pass out of the body, they want us to laugh. They really do. I think I might have told the story here before. If I didn't, if I did, forgive me, but I'm gonna have to say it again because it was pretty funny. My friend Olivia passed over, and she's a good friend of mine. She was 82, and she just wanted to leave the body because she was really not doing well. And she completed suicide. She went on her way, and I think she took fentanyl. Believe it or not, I don't know how. Because for a year she asked me, "Can I get something for her?" And I'm like, "I don't know how to get you anything." And she was in that generation where I guess it was some association organization, the Black Oak or whatever it was called, that suicide. So anyway, her daughter came up from Australia, and it was 2 days afterwards. I was sitting around the apartment, and the daughter looks at me and she goes, "James, I feel just awful." I said, "Why do you feel awful?" And she said, "Well, I know my mother's favorite drink was her favorite thing was Irish whiskey, and I know that what my mother did right before she died was she went to get a swig of that Irish whiskey with I guess the fentanyl, and she goes, but I drank it before I left last time I was here. I drank it and left the empty bottle, and I see that my mother probably went to it and it was empty, and that was the last thing she did before she died."
Oh my
Oh,
God. See, you have to have a good sense of humor about this, right?
yeah,
Oops.
whoopsie, yeah,
She went out laughing.
you were laughing. Oh, it's terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, so comedy and laughter and humor causes a shift in your perspective. If you can
I
laugh
can't, Kelly.
about
Before you
something,
say that, I also think with shift perspective, I think there's a shift in the brain. I don't
yes.
know if that's correct or not, but I have a feeling there's some kind of a shift in the cortex. There's something goes on there
Yeah.
chemically. Yeah, I think so.
Well, the
So,
endorphins make allow you to feel better, and then
okay,
that could open up a space in your brain actually to make
yeah,
that shift or see something in a humorous perspective.
perspective.
I mean, that's going to be help. The other thing is, comedy helps us form a connection with somebody else. We can form a connection with it.
Because you share that moment, you share that laugh. That yeah,
Right. You
yeah.
share that laugh, which is so important. It also, comedy helps us expose the truth and breaks taboos, which, we see comedians talking about that. And you're sitting here going, well, that's pretty accurate, pretty close to the bone there, buddy. But, you know,
I've known my share of comedians. Let me tell you,
yes,
Chelsea Handler and Kathy Griffin, and I've known them personally. Yes,
yeah,
indeed.
yeah. I knew Gary
And Joan
Shandling
Rivers.
really well, and you knew Joan Rivers, and I knew
Joan was the
Gary
best.
Shandling
I'll
really
tell you,
well.
one of the best people I've ever met in my life. One of the best celebrities. And
Oh,
one of the funniest people, but also very lovely and not mean at all. And by the way, Don Rickles also was a wonderful man. He comes up but that was all an act. And same with Joan, it was all an act. Joan was one of the kindest people around.
wow.
I remember with Joan Rivers, I was doing a book tour, and Joan, we had the same agent. And Joan she had a radio show, and she had to interview me, and she wasn't available. She was on a plane flying from Europe, and I think it was a private plane of hers. And she had the decency to call me from, and she, would you mind if I call you from the plane and we do it on that? Would you mind if we do that? I said, that's fine, Joan. So she took the time to do that, and just one of many things that she did. She was really a kind,
So
kind soul.
nice. So
Yeah,
nice.
loved her.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. At that oh. And comedy helps us lighten the heaviness of existential suffering. And that's what I was talking about with my mother. I mean, you've got a beloved person who's passing away. I mean, that's really an existential crisis as happening. And yet I was able for a moment to see the paradox in that, in what was happening around me, and really get a good big
Yeah,
laugh out of it on some level.
it is an experience we all have, this life
Yeah,
experience, but we can't take it all so seriously because it isn't what is the truth. Truth is it's an illusion. It's happening, but we're much bigger than that. We are all much bigger than that. So to be
right.
caught up in that heaviness there, yes, we can sense it, but we got to step out of it too because we don't want to
Right.
suffer. I call them
No.
SS, suffering souls. They don't want to be that. Life is about movement, expansion, and
Yeah.
that's really what it's about. And laughter helps create that. Humor helps create that, and it helps us laugh at ourselves. Don't take ourselves so
Well,
seriously.
I love what you just said. It helps us with expansion.
Yeah, it does. It certainly
Yeah.
does. It does.
Yeah.
Don't take it so seriously. It doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't.
No.
It really doesn't mean a lot. People take
Yeah.
themselves so seriously. Don't take yourself so seriously. That's
Yeah.
why I get on stage and fall down because it's like, come on, basic pratfall. Don't take it so seriously. Don't sit there and go, oh, there's a guru. No, no, not me.
Right.
No, you're the guru.
So
No.
Elaine Berman says, I loved Gary Shandling. Was he happy? Well, Gary was complicated. I knew Gary very well. He was complicated. He was the funniest, so funny, so bright, so funny, and so complicated. And as most comedians, I mean, James, you would know this too, that
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
some in person, in a relationship, they're not all that funny.
They're very, no,
They're more
they're very serious.
serious. They're more, it's been my experience with a lot of them that I have known.
I won't name people, but there are some people, well-known comedians that I know that everyone here knows, and
Yeah.
you'd be very shocked to see what they're like personally. Very different than what they appear to be.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would agree with that.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, James. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks, Renee.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now and Beyond, featuring spiritual medium and master teacher James Van Praagh and spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kellee White.
That was great. Maybe we changed some lives.
And maybe opened up some minds.
Which way do I turn?
Right. I mean left.